folks, Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. We're here today comparing two different phones of the Android OS system that both work on Ice Cream Sandwich. And we're going to side-by-side put them together and see which one I think is better at the end. This is they're both from AT&T. They both work on AT&T Wireless's 4G LTE network, so they're blazing fast and have great call quality to them. The HTC One X came out a couple months before the Samsung S3 Galaxy, and of course the Samsung Galaxy has a great reputation among lots of Android fans, and a lot of people of course like the HTC versions. So let's talk about what the difference is between these two, especially they've come out so recently, and at the end I'll give you my opinion as to which phone I think is better. So let's talk about it. We're going to take a look at the HTC One X phone first. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in and take a look at the front and back of it. Now, on the back, I mounted a magnetic sticky thing that magnetizes camera lenses onto the back of this. So normally you wouldn't see this little ridge here. But as you can see here, there's a camera lens in the back. There's a flash area there. There's a place for your SIM card on the top and your earphones. There's the HTC logo on here. There also is a thing where when you want to take and slide this into specialized chargers that HTC is supposed to make, it will charge and sync off of this without technically having to plug it in, although you can plug it in here on the side where there's a micro USB plug for that purpose. Down on the bottom we have a microphone hole, so that's picking up your sound, all that good stuff. We have a rocker button with volume up and down and all that good stuff. And on the top we have a power button, and we also have another possible microphone as far as I know. It looks like there's two on these. So and taking a look at the screen is very good looking, very beautiful, very clear, lots of clarity, and the device is really thin. It's a very thin, easy device to hold, very light. It's got a nice curvature to the back of it, which makes it so that when you set it down, it's not usually resting on the camera, which is important. Very clean, very huge, very big screen. And so I've liked the HTC One X for that purpose. Let's take a look at the Galaxy, and we'll get a close-up in on some of the different features of the Galaxy. And of course, you have a front-facing camera. I'm not sure if we mentioned that with the HTC, but it also has a front-facing camera. We've got sound areas here for your phone that will come out talking, all that good stuff. You can see here it's got a very big, very beautiful, very clear clarity based screen. We've got some back buttons with menu items here, and we've got a home screen button that's there. On the bottom we have a microphone, and we also have a charger port. On the side we have the rocker panel on the left for the on-off. Across the top we have the earphone jack, and we also have a microphone area. And then on the side we also have a power button. Now the one thing about this is it's much thinner. It's not much thinner, but it is thinner than the HTC One X. I really want to use this thing as a frisbee. I really like the thinness of it. It's pretty cool. I just love holding it like this. It's just so thin. Now the one thing about this that's different than the HTC One X is you can pull off the back of the case here, and in pulling off the back of the case you can put in your SIM card. You can also put a micro SD card up to 64 gigabytes that you can put in here, where the HTC One doesn't have a SIM card plug to upgrade your memory. We'll talk about that here in a second and what that does. Okay, so let's put these two little babies side by side once again, and let's talk about some of the difference, and we'll just kind of play these out as we go. Now of course you may have a favorite phone or a favorite brand maker, but let's take and compare these apples to apples and see how they compare and match up. Now what we have with the HTC One X is this is a 720 by 1280 pixels. It's 4.7 inches. It's got Corning Gorilla Glass in it. It works off of HTC's Sense UI. Now the Samsung has an AMOLED capacitive touchscreen with 16 million colors. It's 720 by 1228 pixels, much like the HTC One X, but it is 4.8 inches, so it wins by that 0.8 measure, if you will. It also does have Corning Gorilla Glass 2, which is supposedly better, and it works off the TouchWiz UI that comes from Samsung. Now, With the Samsung, as we mentioned, you do have the ability to upgrade with a micro SD card up to 64 gigabytes. It's been a long time I've been in computers. With the AT&T, there's no way to update that. There's no place to put in a micro SD card, so you do have that. The memory that is in the Samsung is 1 gigabytes of RAM, which make it exceptionally fast. There also is 1 gigabytes of RAM in the HTC One X. Let's take a look at some of the other different qualities. Now, the camera on the HTC One is at 8 megapixel. It gives you 3,264 by 204 or 2,448 pixels. It's got autofocus, LED flash, simultaneously HD video and image recording, geotagging, face and smile detection, and it does have 1080p, 24 frames per second, video stabilization, and in the front camera it's got a 1.3 megapixel 720p camera. In this case, the Galaxy will win this fight in this instance because it has in it a 8 megapixel, much the same as this one. The dimensions are a little bit, let's see, I think about the same that we have here. In the dimensions, it's 3264 by 2,448 pixels. But it does have simultaneously video and image recording, geotagging, touch focus, but it records in 1080p with 30 frames per second. So the clear winner in that little battle is the Samsung Galaxy. It's got 1080p instead of 720. Now, it also has a 1.9 megapixel front-facing camera that does 720p at 30 frames per second. Overall, the Galaxy there is clearly the winner. These both are working off of Android OS, although the Android OS that's in the Galaxy is 4.0 ice cream sandwich. The one that's in the Galaxy is 4.04 ice cream sandwich, so a little bit more updated here. And this is 4.0 ice cream sandwich in the HTC One X. The Samsung is dealing with the quad core 1.4 gigahertz, and the One X is going to be dealing with the quad core 1.5 gigahertz. You think that it would make a difference in the speed or the quality, but we do notice, and I'll show you here in tests, that the Samsung Galaxy is a tad bit faster. What are the things that we can talk about? Battery standby with the HTC One X, you're looking at 1800 milliamplitude battery there. With the Samsung, you're looking at a 21 milliamp, so you got a better battery in here, even though it's thinner, which is pretty amazing to me. Let's see, you've got up to standby time up to 790 hours on 3G with the Samsung. With the HTC One X, you're looking at, well, they don't give us the standby time, so I don't have that data for you here. Obviously, since this has got a 21 milliamps battery to it, it's going to give you much longer charge. Both of them tend to operate a lot like most Android phones do, where they give you maybe a good core day's worth of work if you do a lot of calling and stuff on them. It doesn't quite hold up quite as bit. The sound quality on them appears to be the same from what I can see and experience. The Galaxy does have a little bit more voice decibel range in talking, and looks like noise level ring. It's a little bit louder with the Samsung Galaxy. So overall, with specs, the Galaxy is definitely winning the fight and argument here as to which could possibly be the better phone. But let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Displays are both beautiful, as you can see. We've got both of them turned up fairly well. I'm not sure that we have the HTC turned up as far as it will go. Let's see if we do. I know that we do have that on the Galaxy because we were comparing it with the iPhone 4S, and we needed to bring that up to get the comparison done. And it looks like we can take this up a little bit more on the HTC One X, because we want these to, you get a good idea between the two of these. Now, of course, you're going to spend a pretty good boatload of money, and you're going to sign a 2-year contract with a service like AT&T to do these phones. So it's important when we go along on these, we give you an in-depth comparison. Now, they're both 4G LTE, so there's nothing really to worry about there. They both make great calls. They both make great data. We've compared them against each other on the AT&T network, and they do very well. We do notice the Samsung has like a little bit of touch of speed to it on top of everything else. The one thing that they do have that we really like on the Samsung is Samsung has these widgets that they put in, and let's see if we can't figure out how to do that now. And basically it's an app system where you can create widgets and everything else on top of just your normal apps that you want to have. So if you want to have widgets that do different macros for you, different programs, you can go ahead and create those and edit them. I don't believe they're on the HTC One X because I haven't found out how to do them. If they are, they must be hidden. Now, the one thing about both these phones, if you look at the displays, is one has a temporary light up of the back buttons and the menu buttons where they light up and turn off. I believe that saves you some battery power, where the HTC One X has got them pretty much solidly mounted into the plastic on the screen. So the touching on them is a little less responsive on the HTC One X. I tend to notice that it takes me a little bit more pressure, and I have to actually go a little bit higher than the button itself to get the button to activate. Whereas I found with the Samsung, the buttons are very responsive, very quick to me, and I don't have to hunt around for the button. The home button I do like. It's easy to find on the HTC One X. The button on the Samsung, it's kind of annoying that you have to make an extra effort to press that. So it's really up to your personal decision what you want to take and do there. One thing I do like about the Samsung Galaxy is this tab part that it has here. Now, I don't know if this is an Android system with the tabs that are across the top, because there is Android 4.04 on this, so it's a little bit updated. I don't know if this is going to be the future, but you can see here that I can make many of the major changes that I would want to make to the phone: Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, sound, off and on, screen rotation, GPS. I can make those adjustments where I can't make them over on the HTC One. I really like this menu options where I don't have to go find settings. I can very easily get into them from the notifications and make changes that I might want to take and do. You can see the screens are relatively about the same. As we mentioned, they're only a 0.1 decimal 0.1 separation in size. But you'll see here that there's a definite difference in the speed and quality of the device itself. So let's take a look at a few apps that we'll start, and we'll see how they perform. The one thing we have been impressed with the Samsung Galaxy S3 is not only how fast it is, but it just whips. So if you notice here, we're loading up, taking much more time, and you can see there that we're definitely dealing with some speed issues when it came to the HTC One X. Let's try that again. Let's just click on a picture and see how fast it loads between the two of them. So you'll notice here that the Samsung is a touch bit quicker and responsive. Let's go ahead and try leaving a comment. I always like testing the Facebook app because the Facebook app is horrible at dragging and being slow, and so it's a great way to test the speed of devices to see how they compare against each other. Let's give it another test with, what should we try here? Let's go ahead and try Netflix if we can find it. I'm sure it's on here somewhere. Let's go ahead and try the Pulse program. The Pulse program we like, it's a news program, and it will pull up the news of the day. Let's go ahead and see how quickly they load. As you can see here, it loads very fast, and I think it keeps some of this in RAM and works really quickly. Some of the different features that you do see, like pulling data and stuff like that, that move pretty quick in being able to pull that down for us. So let's go to page 2 and see how quickly this loads on each of these. You can see that actually the Pulse load a little bit quicker. I don't know if it's been there. Looks like it's taking a little bit more time to reset the pictures and reload the page. Looks like they're both struggling just a little bit. We have been having some internet issues here at the house with Verizon. I think they're having an outage tonight. But you can see here there's different pages that, well, they're doing the reload, so this is obviously reloading off of prior cache. But you can see that they're moving, the Galaxy moves a little bit faster when it comes to bringing in the data. This is old data and it's going to reset here. There we go. So actually the Galaxy is moving much faster. So we pretty much have determined through all of our testing and everything that we've done with the Galaxy that it's a much faster device and a much better device for that. There is a thing that the Samsung folks developed called S-Sound, I believe it's called, or S-Voice, and it's a device that's kind of designed to be a little bit like Siri, where it will ask what to do. You're supposed to be able to program different. You're supposed to be able to different program, like if you want to wake up your device, you can take and do that. I didn't find it was that great of a device. I'm not that impressed with Siri either, so it just didn't motivate me one way or another to liking it or not liking it. Keyboard-wise, their keyboards are fairly well. And let's see what else we're taking a look at. Gaming-wise, you're going to enjoy gaming on both of them. The Samsung is going to be a little bit faster with games. Let's take a look at, let's see if we have Angry Birds, which I believe we might have on here. If we can find it. I think it might be Space Birds or something of that nature. I don't see it here. Let's go ahead and, if it's not going to come up, then it's not going to come up. Yeah, so we're not finding it there. All right, so what we'll do is we'll take a look at a few other things. Let's pull up the store. You guys can see how quickly the store will load. You can see here, of course, the Samsung loads much faster, much more complete in its presentation. Now, so the next big thing to get into is camera. How does the camera work? Let's talk about that. That's probably the last thing we want to discuss. The camera for the Samsung, they both have different features. One thing we've noted about the AT&T, and there is an issue that we find with the Samsung. It's very weird when you are in a mode of going from, you notice there was a long pause there. When you're in a mode where you're in camera mode, when you go to see and view your pictures, there's a real pause there, and we're not sure if it's a software problem or whatnot, but it's really annoying. In fact, you're not sure that if it's gonna come up. But you can see here the differences in the quality of the photo. Now, of course, this is all Android. You can see there's a lot of yellows in the screen with the HTC One X. What we found is that they've taken the HTC One X and they've jacked up the yellow, blues, and greens. And so you do find that you're getting a lot more popping on your pictures, and you're like, wow, the blues and the yellows are a lot more color. But if you work in certain elements like this, the yellow comes out and makes things very ugly or in low light situations. So you can see here that, yeah, there might be a little bit more brightness to the floor, but there's a lot of yellow and it's very unnatural to what the natural color of the floor is. This is more the natural color of the floor over here. The photos are about the same when it comes to quality. It's just the amount of light. You can see there's more light that's being passed through the AT&T HTC X1. The difference here is, though, is you can adjust all the ISO settings, this being Android, so you can tweak both the phones to whatever you want and probably get pictures that are comparable to each phone. So after that, it's going to be which phones you want to take and do. With video, you're looking at the same sort of comparisons that we talked about. One thing we've noticed is very weird, and this may be a software thing. If you notice with the Galaxy, there's a thing where what it does is it plays very darkly, and then when it turns off, it goes back to very light. It plays videos very dark. We don't know why. It's very weird. We can't figure out why it does it. It must be a software issue that they could possibly resolve, much like the one that they're having with the thing. Is it a big deal? No, it's not a really big deal. You can live with it. I don't watch most of my videos that I play on my camera anyway. I usually upload them and play them on my computer, or I upload them to Facebook. So there is that element of it, but there's still great things. I imagine they're going to fix that issue, because when you look at the video outside of the phone, it's normal. For some reason, it just remains in that status kind of going to standby mode screen. We're not sure why it does that, but it's kind of bothersome. You can see here it looks like it's going to standby. So they both take great video. I actually prefer the Galaxy video than the Galaxy. So hopefully they'll get that fixed. The one thing we do enjoy about the Samsung Galaxy 2 is where the buttons are. Normally you hold the phone in your left hand, you'll dial with your right hand or do different things with your right hand. And so they put the volume controls over here, which is very convenient to be able to access. Power button is over here, which is easy to access. And what's really nice is you can just swipe the screen. Really like that feature. One of the problems I have, even though I really do like the HTC One X, is the power button's over here, and sometimes when I'm holding it like this, my finger's constantly adjusting the ring volume. See how that's working? It's really annoying. I'm constantly resetting the ringtone on it because of the way that I hold it and then the button is so big too, it's almost hard to miss it. The top part is kind of annoying to have to go to the top, where you have to hold it in two places and go to the top to do it. And then I hate this ring thing where you have to flip the ring. I really just like the ability with the Samsung to just basically swipe anywhere on the screen to pull it out of standby. So that's one of the other reasons I like it. For all the reasons you've seen so far, it's much faster, thinner, much more bigger screen by a very small margin. Just exceptionally across the board, it's a much better phone with the Samsung Galaxy S3. I even like some of the calendar features and how they work and the beauty of its setup. The HTC is a great phone, you know, and if you're an HTC fan and you love HTC phones, go ahead and get it. It's a great phone. I love it too. I've really liked this phone until the Samsung Galaxy came out. So be sure to check out both phones. You can go to AT&T, I believe it's AT&T.com or AT&T Wireless or AT&TMobile.com, any one of those websites, and you can be able to see their phones. Been very impressed, and thank you for AT&T for sharing the phones with us so that we could do these reviews and also do the comparison videos. We're going to be doing more comparisons videos you can find of different phones, including the iPhone and other OS systems like Windows Phone, Lumia, Nokia 900, all that good stuff on the chrisvossshow.com. So be sure to check in to those. For the most part, the Samsung Galaxy 3 is a clear winner, and I would recommend getting this phone. And if you decide you want the HTC One X, get that phone as well. They're both awesome top-line phones, I think, when it comes to the Android product. So be sure to check back often to the chrisvossshow.com. Tell AT&T I sent you.